Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. We got Monster Fridays, Killian, Coriander, and Marty ready to go. How you guys doing?
Hey,
Good,
good.
good.
How are
This is
you?
going to be, look, man, this is going to be exciting because you guys know what we went through last week. Okay. Last week, we had to get through AVPR by the skin of our teeth. And now we have come back into a groove with
Yeah.
Predators from 2010. Real quick, before we start, we're going to do a quick take and then we're going to see who we have in the chat. But I'll just get you guys' quick take on this movie. I'll start with you, Kill, and then Marty, and then Coriander.
They were able to make a good Predator movie without Arnold being in it, and have an awesome cast of actors, and really, just kind of try to reinvent the wheel in a good way.
Yes. All right. How about you, Marty?
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. Fantastic. It expanded the lore a lot more. That's something I always look forward to. And I did feel Nimrod Antal also done not only a love letter to the franchise, but to the sci-fi actioneer genre of the 80s of a whole, not just Predator, but Alien and Aliens and the like. And I think this movie encompasses that really
Good
well.
point. Good point. Good point. How about you, Coriander?
I really enjoyed this movie. I liked how there were two different species of predator in this. And yeah, it was a badass movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to agree, man. This movie, and I remember seeing this movie in the theater, and I was highly impressed with how good this movie was. I was very concerned, as I think a lot of fans might have been coming off of AVPR. So, but this movie, not even, I'd say, even just a couple minutes into the movie, I felt good, especially with that opening where Brody is falling, the free fall. I thought that was fantastic. I had never seen that done like that in a movie, and I thought it was really good. Let's see who we got here in the chat. We've got Patrick saying hello, Night, Coriander, Killian, and Jerry.
Hey.
Hey.
We got Strange Monkey Reviews in the chat saying, I'm ready. All right, man. All right. Qwin's in the chat saying, hey, Nightwatch and Corey, Killian, let's get ready to scream loud as hell. Scream because we have a good movie to review. Let's see what else we got. Oh, man. And Patrick says, hi, Marty. All right. All right. And we got Eric. Eric's in the chat saying Lawrence Fishburne does his best Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse Now in this. It's so amazing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he was good.
Right? Strange Monkey says, my head was nearly put on a stick during that stream. You talking about last week, man?
Oh, no.
We got Eric saying, who needs Arnold when you have Topher Grace, right? Exactly. Exactly.
Who?
Exactly. Topher Grace, the doctor.
Oh.
Eric Foreman.
The
He was
piece
the bad
of crap.
Yeah,
And
gotcha.
we'll get to that. And Eric says, all jokes aside, this one is quite great. Yes, yes. And we've got Game Guy in the chat. What's going on, man? Welcome to the chat. How you doing?
Hey.
Saying hi, all. All right. And Strange Monkey is saying, yes, last week. But you survived just like we did, just like Eric did as
Barely.
well.
Yes.
Barely. Right?
But we did.
Right?
Yeah.
I love it. All right, man. So for you guys in the chat, for you guys watching the replay, sit back, relax. It's time to do Predators. You know what time it is. All right, let's get down to brass tacks and talk about this movie. Kill, I'll start with you. Let's get this thing going about the story. I mean, it starts right off, like I was mentioning earlier, with Brody, who plays Royce in Free Fall. What were you thinking when you saw the movie and how the story was going?
Okay, you're gonna laugh, but one of the first things I thought of was Predators have Predator parachutes. Okay, all right, they've expanded on the tech. They make parachutes. No, but I did think about that. But no, like I enjoyed the mystery of it from the beginning because the movie, the pacing is great in this movie, and there's no fat on the bone. You're off running, and who knew Adrian Brody would be a bad ass like that dude? And I'll say it like this: he's like kind of badass. That's like, in a way, you're like, are you a good guy? Do you care about anyone else, or are you like just out for you? And I love that ambiguous nature of his character in this, because you really don't know if he's just a good guy, a bad guy, or just opportunistic. And I love that. I love it.
Absolutely. Real quick in the chat before I get to you, Marty. We've got Game Guy saying, "Who else thinks we needed a part 2 to this?" Me.
Me.
And Patrick is all messed up tonight. He's like, "Con."
Oh my God.
Wrong film.
There's oops, wrong film.
Yeah.
We got Biffer. Biffer's in the chat saying, "Hey gang, what's going on?
Hey.
Man? What's going on?" And Patrick might redeem himself with this comment. He said, "Adrian Brody has been a badass in a lot of film, but many have flown under the radar." I hear you, man. I hear you. All right, Marty. So, once Brody lands and then things get started, what were you thinking of the story, how it was progressing at that point?
Elaborating on Killian's point, and I think Rodriguez and Antal were going for this. I'd said before in the last stream about the first Predator, each one of the characters could have been like the lead in their own action movie. These guys, be it like Yakuza or kind of Ugandan Death Squad or Cartel, these guys all could have been bad guys in their own action movies. They could have been like in the Expendables as well. And that's what was cool. Like, you had these quote unquote unruly predators, and they're not going after kind of fucking honorable commandos or honorable cops. They're going after the worst of the worst. The hunt, and that works. And Brody was fantastic. Again, as Killian was saying, you're like, he could have killed any of these dudes just as quick as the predators. He was like not taking any shit. Like, and that's what I really liked about the movie. Like, you don't know where you stood with any of these characters.
Absolutely. And real quick in the chat, we've got Mr. J's in the chat. What's going on, man? Nice to have you in the chat. Welcome. Saying they have one in the comics, but I don't think they would do it right on the big screen. Yeah, good point. Talking about a sequel. Yeah. It'd be tough. I agree with that, man. But Coriander, as I get to you, following off of what Marty was talking about, what were you thinking of how the movie began, or the cast and stuff like that?
Yeah, I loved how the movie began, because like you said, what movie had you seen do this before? I hadn't seen anything like it. So yeah, it was pretty cool. And the cast, I mean, they were great. These people I enjoyed watching, all of them. I didn't have any that I found that were just annoying or anything, so yeah. And the fact that it was funny because the traps that the predators were using, it was like the traps that these guys knew about. You know what I mean? So it was like, it was so cool how they were using like their traps to trap themselves, the predators. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I think go ahead, Kel.
I'm sorry, and I'm so sorry for doing this, but I'm just thinking about, we're talking about the characters. This movie has Walton Goggins in it. And Walton Goggins, for the most part, he seems like he's a convicted rapist. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this movie kind of makes you root, or at least kind of like him in a small way. So that just kind of, in my opinion, goes with the storytelling in this movie.
Killian, they play with the trope of in those movies where like the guys, oh, here's my family back home. Of course, Walton Goggins pulls open his shirt to show like this new tattoo, and they're like, "Is that your girlfriend?" "No, it's my sister." And you're like, "What kind of sycophant is this dude?"
Right.
And I just love that.
Yeah. Well, real quick, but to go off of what Coriander was saying, I think that what was cool is that they were illustrating, at least to me anyways, what I was getting out of it is they were illustrating how warfare is a universal thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is an alien planet, and it's true, that they're using these traps but I think it's a universal thing. And fortunately for these soldiers, and that was another thing too, each of these soldiers knew how to handle themselves in warfare. There
Yeah.
was moments
Yep.
where each and every one of them would chime in about, well, I think this is what that is. And they showed, each of them showed their strengths.
Yep.
And I mean, you're talking about, I mean, let's put the picture back up. You're talking about a cast of 8 people. And it's like, wow, each and every one of them had a moment. Even Topher Grace is the doctor, because he talked about the neurotoxins and stuff like that. And when Nolan betrayed them, he was talking about he's a scavenger. And so each of these characters were able to shine, is what I'm getting at. And I think it was smart of Antal and Robert Rodriguez to illustrate that the Predator's tactics, yes, they're advanced with the weaponry and the technology, but it's all warfare, and warfare is universal no matter what you are, where you come from.
Nice. Even Isabel brings it up, like she says, the reason we were chosen is because we're the predators of our world.
Right.
And that's like, they're just as bad as them. That's why they're being brought there.
Yeah.
Right. And before I get back to you, Kill, Game Guy says we needed Danny Glover's character from Predator 2 in it. That would have been all right, man. Eric says, look at this huge cast, a guy from that 70s show, Danny Trejo, Morpheus, Walton Goggins, and even a UFC fighter, and they're all good. Yes, absolutely. Strange Monkey saying this movie made up for the AVP movies. It was the way to go all along. I agree.
Sure was.
Absolutely. Yeah. Eric says Goggins is like the Firefly family from The Devil's Rejects. A horrible person, but the charisma of the actor makes you like them. Yeah, very much. I agree. Triple Features in the chat. What's up, man? Saying I haven't seen this movie yet, but just wanted to pop in and show support.
Ooh.
Thank you so much,
gotta
man. And
check it out.
You got to watch this, man.
Yeah.
You got to watch this. Mr. J says, I like how they developed some of the characters through other characters, like the African warlord and the prisoner, the Russian dude and the doctor, etc. Yeah, I agree, man. Look, we just came off of AVPR, and in that movie, we talked about how horrible the human character development was, maybe for the exception of maybe one. Here we go. We got 8 characters in this movie, and I think they all had some pretty good development. And a lot of them had great development, and you cared about them. So anyways, Kill, I'll take it back to you. Once they start to meet up with each other, and they obviously are going to work together, what were you thinking about the chemistry at that point, and the fact that they still didn't even know yet that they were on an alien planet?
Well, essentially, it's kind of like you're getting the band together. You're kind of seeing what each other's strengths are. Each of them has their own kind of weapon that they like to use. And like you said, Knight, they each have their strengths and they each have their time to shine. But what I really loved was the dialogue, like for instance between right there you just had Adrian Brody
and Isabel.
Because they're trying to figure out what's going on, but still these people are hard, ruthless killer type people, so they don't trust each other. I mean, they're like inches away from shooting and killing each other, especially when they're first dropping in and they're disoriented. So I really loved that because it kind of, for you guys that play video games, it's kind of like the character select screen. You got a big Russian with a big gun. You got, Royce with his assault rifle. So it's like everyone, and then my man from the Yakuza, he has his sword and whatnot. So it's like everyone has their like character traits and their weapon of choice. So yeah.
And how about you, Marty? Once they started to figure they're gonna band together, and then ultimately do find out that they're on an alien planet.
I like the reveal. Sadly enough, I've been the big nerd I was. I spoiled it with trailers and stuff. But the reveal was cool. It's like Adrian Brody he's the most collected of them, and then he's like, we're gonna need a new plan. It's like,
yes, I love that.
But the characters, their interactions were great, and as you said, like Isabel and Royce, they fucking hate each other's guts at the start. He's like, "Are you IDF?" is that going to be a problem? Not yet.
Mhm.
It's like these two could just, as I said, these two could shoot each other at any moment. But it
Mhm.
does, as it goes on, they realize, well, I need this fucker, so that I just have to put up with his quirks or his attitude, and that worked really well as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Coriander. Once they start trying to figure out where the hell they are, and they come upon like the other beings that have been killed, and especially that U.S. Army guy who is like totally screwed up. What were you thinking at that point in the movie? Because we still hadn't had the confrontation yet with the predators.
Right. Yeah, that was I'm trying to think of that scene actually. Jeez.
Well, they saw
Um
that he was, because they had triggered the dead man's trap, and they were all like
oh,
fleeing
that's
from like
right.
the
That's
trees,
right. I thought
swinging
that
the
was,
spikes.
yeah, and the
Yeah,
spikes falling down. Yeah,
yeah,
that was a pretty cool scene.
yeah. It
And yeah,
was.
they were, I'm shocked no one, didn't get hurt in that scene because there were booby traps everywhere.
Yeah,
So
there
yeah.
was. There
Yeah, that
was.
was pretty cool. And I loved the scene when those alien dogs started coming. That was pretty
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think
Yeah.
at that point too, and I'll throw it to you in a second, Kill. I think at that point too, the realization was they're in a world of shit, because you've
Yeah.
got the booby traps, you've got a U.S. military guy who was totally blown to hell,
Mm,
right through his body, and obviously, like the Russian was saying, this was a last stand,
mm,
and then Brody was so cool, like you were saying, Marty, and the rest of you guys. But Brody was like talking about the opponent that they have must be a really big opponent, because he was talking about the rule of thumb with the deadfall is that you make it 5 times your own weight. So
yeah.
that coupled with the dogs, that was a rough scene, man. Take me through, take me through that scene right there, because when the dogs came, it was kind of like Brody said, they were getting flushed out, which was another
Y-
cool tactic by the predators.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, these guys are hunters,
Mm-hmm.
and this is anything a hunter would do hunting his prey or a pack of prey. They're sending the dogs out not
Mm-hmm.
only to scatter them, but to test them, just to
Yeah.
see like, okay, do you guys have any organization? Are you guys going to stand and fight the dogs? Are you going to run? Are you going to do something stupid?
Mm-hmm.
And the more they scatter them, the easier they are to kill. you
Right.
know
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
and and already these predators, they know the terrain way better. And I love the way that scene played out.
Mm-hmm.
The cinematography of it is beautiful because it's a lot of like long shots where the dogs are like kind of just running
Mm-hmm.
towards the camera. And
Right.
then when you finally see the predators come out of their cloaks and they're kind of just watching,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh shit. Like, I mean, and they look badass. You got one that has like a predator bird hawk thing or whatever. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
The
geez.
falconer.
Yeah, the,
Yeah.
the falconer and the weapons that they have. And I'm sure Marty will elaborate because he is the guru of this stuff. But all the weapons
Absolutely.
that they had, it was like, oh, you guys are goat screwed. It's done. Like when they all just kind of came out of their camouflage, and everyone in the audience, I remember seeing this in the theater. People in the audience were like, "Oh shit!" Like,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And real quick before I get to you, Marty, Game Guy says the cool about this movie was the end it set up for the human predator conflict in the next movie. Yeah, man. If only we could have gotten it, man. If only we could have
Yeah.
gotten
Yeah.
it. Eric says the enemy of my enemy is my friend. The motto Isabel and Royce had to live by. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Saying I love the design of this new tribe of predators, and it's cool. Derek Mears played an original looking predator.
Yeah.
You got to me before I could say it, Eric. Absolutely, Derek Mears from Friday the 13th fame.
Yeah.
Mr. J said that was probably the favorite scene overall of the movie. Yeah, yeah, it was a good one. And we got the J Man in the chat saying, I really enjoyed this one. Yeah, man, it was really, really good. But Marty, let me throw this at you because we talked about this with this episode. What's the one thing in your mind that Predators was able to do that Predator couldn't or didn't?
Well, I think because we had the subsequent movies, it was definitely able to expand the lore a
Mm-hmm.
lot more. I think.
Yeah.
And we got to see that, like as Coriander pointed out, there's different races, different tribes, and these
Yeah.
guys in this movie, for example, like when they find the dead commando and all the traps, that's a throwback to Arnie's Last Stand. That these
Yeah.
guys are so vicious and they don't follow the same code of conduct as the traditional predators. They were able to take out a commando of say the equal level of Arnie,
Hmm.
and they were able to, like, they have another fucking predator captured. Like they're
Right.
torturing another predator. It's these guys are either exiled or they've just fecked off and taken this planet as their own, because there's like a drill, an unused drill. So these guys could have probably come down here, killed a bunch of things. Not even they don't really care about the hunt. They just care about getting a trophy. I'm probably going on a spiel here, but I just think
Sorry.
this movie really expanded the lore and showed, yeah, that these aren't just marauding monsters. These are hunters. These are tribesmen. And this
Yeah.
particular group, they don't follow the rules, and that's why they're that bit more dangerous. And that's what I liked about this movie.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. How about you, Coriander? Is there anything in particular that comes to your mind when you think of something that this movie did that the original movie couldn't do or didn't do?
Um, well, yeah, I liked how they were on a different planet, you know.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, that was a great thing, is the fact that they were on an alien planet. Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me too, man. I mean, the big thing for me is that you had these human characters that killed 3 predators. I mean, to
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
that was huge, and it was hand to hand combat in all three cases. I mean, as far as close quarters fighting, and
Yeah.
none of these predators were able to self-destruct their way out of it, like with Arnold. You know what I mean? Like, Killian, you're
Mhm.
famous for always saying that Arnold was lucky in that first movie,
Yeah.
and to me, the thing that this movie did that that movie didn't do or couldn't do is show that you could kill a predator hand to hand, face to face, obviously
Yeah.
using wit, but it's doable, and and they showed how to do it. And plus, they added to, like you said, Marty, the lore, and also using the fire. That was really cool at the
Yeah.
end. I know I'm
They
jumping ahead,
camouflage
but
himself. I
yeah,
thought that was
Yeah,
pretty cool.
man.
yeah. So it wasn't just
Yep.
using mud to hide your heat signature, but using heat so that you blend
Yeah.
in with the heat. But
Yep.
anyways, but Kill, once we get to the point where we find that they actually have an OG predator strung up at their camp. I mean, that was pretty cool, man. I mean, first of all, the design work was great. You had Greg Nicotero,
Mhm.
who's obviously just one of the best in the business today, doing the makeup and design stuff. What did you think of how that scene went when they found the predator strung up?
Well, it's like, man, these are badass hunters,
Yeah.
aliens from another planet, and you have one strung up, I guess being interrogated or tortured, or they're just like, just playing with him. And
Hmm.
it's like, geez, if one of these guys is strung up by the rest of these, we definitely don't have a chance, because it's just
Right.
that's one of their own, and they're like, torturing him or whatever.
Hmm.
But one thing I will just say with these Predator movies, and then some shades to the AVP, at least the first movie, or even the second AVP movie,
Hmm.
humans, when they are in a bad spot, sometimes, you got to tag team up with a predator here and there, man. If a predator is coming to your suburbs to hunt aliens or pred aliens, you might want to tag team with them. If you're stuck in a pyramid and you want to get out, talk to that guy. You want to get out? Talk to him.
Yeah. All
And
right, man.
and I guess just, that also kind of happens in here a little bit, because Brody can tell, okay, something's up here.
Right.
Hey, I'll help you if you help me.
Yeah.
Sort of. So yeah, it was just a very, like Marty said, with them expanding the lore, just seeing that there's a hierarchy, just seeing that there's infighting,
Yeah.
that to me is expanding the lore,
Yeah. I mean, it totally.
greatly.
To me, it's almost like it started to, in my own head, it started to create a society, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? With variations of this creature. And that was really really cool. And Marty, real quick before I get to you, just to catch up with these guys, Eric was saying, my question is this the Predator's home world or just a neutral hunting planet?
Neutral. It's not the home world.
Yeah.
Right.
These guys have obviously just fecked off and decided that this is our place now. We'll kill everything here and just take it as our own.
Yeah. J-Man says, I just wish the classic Predator was the one to beat the new Predator. Can't beat the OG Predator kind of thing. It felt like there was no purpose for the classic Predator. Felt wasted. Yeah, I mean, I think it was like a nod. I think that's what it was more so, just a nod. I mean, obviously, in the building the society, so to speak, the social ladder, so to speak. What were you gonna say something, Marty?
I didn't think it was wasted. I think it was a way of showing that, okay, this is what Arnold had to deal with, and this thing is strung up on a fucking totem. So what are we going to be facing in this movie? I think that's the kind of, it's trying to show how serious the stakes are.
Right, absolutely. And of course, once they're there, stuff goes down because they're obviously in the presence of the predators, and like you were saying, Kill, that's when you see them uncloak themselves. But before that happens, you have that nice little scene where they're running like hell to get out of there. And I'm going to play that clip right here. But I love this scene because it is a little bit of a nod to the original, And I thought it was really cool, and the camera work was excellent with the music as well. Of course, I'm not playing it with music, but Coriander, what did you think of this scene? Because I mean, I just thought that the action was great, man. It really was. It was well done. You could see it. It wasn't in the dark like AVPR. What would you think of it, Coriander?
Yeah, this was a great scene. I mean, yeah, they were lucky again to be able to escape, not hurt, because you had, how many of them were there? Like a couple of them? Was it 3 at one point? Yeah, so it was like, yeah. So, yeah, and I loved how, they fell into the water just like in the original. So I thought that was a great scene.
Absolutely. And then of course, Kill, I think the other part that was really, really cool, they obviously introduced another aspect to this movie, which was different than the other ones, because you had Lawrence Fishburne's character of Roland. And I thought that was a really nice little thing, and he was also able to give some information about this planet, and what were you thinking about how he came into the picture and what he brought to the role?
Well, I loved his character. I mean, he obviously had been there for a while by himself, almost to a fault. Yes. And, he's a survivor, and he's also a scavenger, and also an opportunist. So, and on top of that, he is a little crazy as well, talking to himself, etc. But he does give a lot of great exposition and answers a lot of questions that us as the viewer might have been having while watching this movie. And I thought his character was great, and the reasoning for them putting him in there was perfect.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I mean, it just took it in a different direction. Game Guy was saying it makes you wonder who came first, the predators or the engineers. What do you think, Marty?
Probably the engineers. Apparently they're what created the all the life in the universe. I don't know. Read the Fire and Stone comic, because there's a cool duking out between a predator and an engineer. If you want to see a cool fight, check out that comic.
Nice, very nice. And Jason was saying, good point, guys. Yeah, absolutely. But Coriander, as we get past that point when obviously Nolan betrays them, and Brody had that great scene where he says, it wasn't. What did he say? No, I'm sorry. It was Goggins who had said that didn't do shit when Brody had shot off the cannon, right? And he said it wasn't for that, you asshole, or something like that. But he was doing it to get the predators to come there.
Calling in the cavalry.
Yes, calling in the cavalry. I thought that was a cool. First of all, that was cool, and it was smart. Again, all these characters were so smart. Like each and every one of them were crafty, and like you said, Marty, they literally could be the lead villain, in their own movie, or they could be a lead hero, with their abilities and stuff, But Kill, take me through that part, because that's pretty much leading us into the finale when they escape out of the ship, the drill. What were you thinking at that point?
I mean, you have Lawrence Fishburne kind of betraying them, trapping them, kind of just, screwing them over.
Right.
And now you've kind of set off the dinner bell, and all the predators are like, okay, we know where you are. Let's get our dogs, let's get our predator hawks, and let's go in there. And of course, Lawrence Fishburne, he gets kind of what's coming to him as well.
Right. Yeah.
After all this time of surviving.
Yes. Well, that's he got them guys pissed off at him. So what were we gonna say, Marty?
The cool thing is, did you notice because obviously they didn't think he was worthy prey. He was hiding. He was skulking. So they're like, we don't want this guy. We don't want him as a trophy. So they literally blew him apart. They blew him. True. They vaporized him with their shoulder cannon, because he's like, he's a fucking coward. He's not worthy of having a trophy. I like that little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. In the chat, we got a couple more comments here. Strange Monkey was saying Lawrence freaking out was hilarious. Yeah, he was very good in that part, man. I enjoyed him. Good character. Eric says, side note, talking comics, I'm sure Marty knows what I'll be talking about. It would have been cool if they made a movie of the Concrete Jungle story with Dutch's brother.
We kind of got that with Predator too. It's basically the same story. It's a cop. Instead of Los Angeles, it was New York, and there's a whole mystery behind Predator coming down. I think people in the subway are killed in the comic as well. So we got that, except it was Danny Glover, not Arnie, in that movie.
Right. And we've got Fauci Cinema in the chat saying, Nightwatch, my peeps, how goes it? What's going on, man? How you doing? How you doing? And Q, I was just about to talk about this. QN is saying the samurai fight made me proud to be a human for real. Yeah, man. Can we give some credit to my man Hanzo? I mean, was that not the coolest thing of all time? Shout out to Billy, because that's what we're talking about. This and Marty, you were saying this was basically the Billy fight, right? That's what you were thinking.
Yeah, they even had Billy's kind of theme tune with an oriental kind of twang to it.
Yeah,
which I thought was very cool.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That scene was so badass, and for anyone who watches this channel, I love martial arts and martial arts movies, and this was that little moment where it was really cool. The samurai, I loved it. It was so cool. And the other thing too, again, like Coriander said right in the beginning of this episode, they were building the lore with showing how these predators work. So even though they're vicious, and like Marty said, they break the rules, you have this predator that was actually showing honor in fighting Hanzo, and I thought that was cool. That was the Falconer predator. And, I think that was really cool. It was warrior versus warrior, and Hanzo got him. Hanzo got him.
Cultures, those cultures are like that. You have warriors in those cultures. So it's, that's what they do. And that's what, it's awesome.
Good point. Revenge for Billy. So
exactly.
So then, final act of the movie, though, when we see the reveal of what Topher Grace is all about. Kill, take me through that, because I thought that was a great way to end this movie, just showing how dastardly Topher Grace was as the Doctor. What'd you think?
I mean, it was fitting that they did that, because they're telling morality tales here, but he had been saved by at least two other people prior to his turn. And you have these aliens that hunt for sport. There is honor to them, most of them,
right.
But then you have this human that is a cold-blooded murderer. There's no honor to the way he does it. He incapacitates his victims, and he'll even do it to his comrades. So they specific, and of course, and the really interesting thing is he's the most unsuspecting one. So it's like you don't see it coming. You know, the whole time in this movie, he's like, you know, I'm a doctor. I don't even know why I'm here. I mean, you look like you're a part of a gang. You're a Yakuza. You're an African warlord soldier. You know, you guys all look like you belong here. But I didn't do anything, you know. I'm just Topher Grace, you know, that 70s show. I mean, hey, I didn't do anything, you know. And he is the one that you really literally can't turn your back on. Don't turn your back literally on this guy, or he will try to murder you.
Right.
And
I mean,
his turn was just so cold too. So his acting was top notch when he does his turn.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, ooh.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought he did a great acting job, and when he incapacitated Isabel, that was pretty rough. And of course, we thought that Royce was going to leave on that ship, but he didn't. And then, of course, you know, that scene where Topher Grace was like, well, she didn't think that you'd leave her, or something like that. She always believed in you, or something like that. And then, of course, and I'll throw it to you, Marty. What do you think of that? The way Royce handled Topher?
She didn't think you'd leave, but I guess she was right. You are a good man. Because I'm not a good man. I'm just fast.
I'm fast.
And but I do love the fact he got his comeuppance. Not only did Royce fucking stab him and incapacitate, he used him as a booby trap.
Yes.
He wired him with the claymores and the grenades. And then the Predator goes over and he's there whimpering, "No, don't! I'm like you!" And he's just he turns him over and just turns into the 4th of July. I thought that was brilliant. It was the best fitting ending to a pure scummy character.
It was. Real quick, Eric was saying, I do wish the fight between the Yakuza member and the Predator was a bit longer, but it was still a damn cool double kill. I agree, man.
Yeah, it was.
We got Movie Lover 120 in the chat. What's going on? Welcome. Saying a way better movie, while not as good as the first two movies, than the horror Predator film from 2018 we never speak of. That movie made me walk out of the cinema. Well, guess what we're going to be talking about next week? We might have another super rant. Strange, but I know what you're talking about. Seriously, I know exactly what you mean. Strange Monkey says, Eric speaks the truth. That was an amazing story. Yeah. And Game Guy says, all we needed was Pee-wee with his bike. Right.
You gotta love Pee-wee.
Yeah. But so Coriander, obviously the last thing that happened was Royce versus the Predator. And Marty, which one was that? Was the Berserker Predator, right?
Yeah, the Berserker Predator. He was the clan leader. He was like the big kahuna.
Right. What'd you think of that fight? You know, because we also had seen the Berserker kill the OG Predator, which was like, wow, man. I mean, he took him out. Yes. But how do you think that that Adrian Brody playing Royce handled him?
He did so good. Like you said, using the heat as you know, something to use against them was it was brilliant because he kicked its ass. So he was smarter than Arnold in so many ways. I'm sorry to say it. Arnold had the muscle and the, you know, I guess the muscle, but this guy, you know, Roy had, was it Roy? Royce? He had, he had the brains, and that outbeats any muscle any day. So he was very smart.
What do you think of it, Kill?
I mean, I gotta agree with Corey on this one. I mean, Royce was a badass character. He has a killer instinct, and it in this world that they're on, this game preserve world, that will serve him well. So you know, I agree.
Yeah. What about you, Marty?
So something, if you go back and watch the Predator movies, even the newer one, it's usually the characters get lucky, but usually they also get lucky because the Predators get arrogant. For example, in the first one, the Predator's like, oh, Arnie set up a trap here, so I'll go around. Or Danny Glover playing possum. In this one, the Predator takes its time and it's about to kill Royce, but it doesn't realize Isabel is still there with the rifle. And she takes a pot shot at him, and that's just enough time for Royce to kind of pick himself up and get the axe and finish him off. And it's always that it's not only that like the characters are super skilled, it's also that the predators are so kind of bombastic warriors. They're like, well, these are puny humans. We can take our time. We don't need to fucking rush.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, man, I mean, other than Isabel, you know, taking the shot, you know, because of course she's an Israeli sniper. I mean, Royce was taking it to that berserker predator, man, hand to hand. I mean, he used the fire to, you know, to blend his heat signature, which of course I think that's fair because obviously the predators have their camo, you know what I mean? So I think it was still a fair thing. And Royce was going hand to hand with him, and right up to the end, you know, obviously Isabel takes the shot, but then Adrian Brody, man, he was badass. I gotta admit, he was so badass in this movie. I really enjoyed him. I thought he had great charisma, and it was cool seeing him, such a great actor, pulling off such a big action role, you know. So that's my big thing about it. And as we finish up here, let's see. Eric says, "Oh, great. I guess I better prepare myself for next week's episode then. Sometimes I just can't win, can I?" Hashtag raising the torch. Oh no, Eric. Oh no. Eric's gonna be like, I love this movie. We got the Wolfman. Wolfman's in the chat. Say, hey man, love the Predator franchise. The first two Alien movies are better, but spoiler alert, the Predator franchise overall may be better. Ooh, that's a good question. I gotta think about that. Game Guy says they should have done Predator Race War instead of the 2018 movie. That would have been interesting. I mean, I think this movie, I mean, we're not going to get into what we're going to say next week, but I think this movie was a really nice path that they started to create. And I wish they could have seen what was going to happen. And they had plans for a sequel. And I'm actually going to have a video coming out talking about that a little bit, just a little bit of detail on that. But it would have been really, really nice, in my opinion. Absolutely. Eric says, I had no idea how badass Adrian Brody could be until I saw this film. Right? I agree.
Yeah, he kicked ours.
I absolutely agree. I mean, and so much so, I wish he had done some more movies like this, you know, not just Predator based, but just because he can act. He had gotten himself into great shape. And he has a charisma about him. You know, when he talked, you know, you paid attention to what he said. And I thought he was just a great character. But all of these characters were really good. I think that's the strength of this movie. And I can honestly say, when I saw this, I was so hyped for the Predator franchise. I was really like back in the game, you know. And again, all the makeup, the effects, everything was good. I mean, there's Greg Nicotero doing his thing. This was a really good movie. It really, really was. So, but anyways, that's about all we got for Predators. You guys in the in the chat, please let us know what you think in the comment section. Let us know what you think about the movie. Do you have any favorite characters from this group of badasses? Did you wish there could have been a sequel? If so, how would you have liked it to gone? Let us know in the comment section. Please give this video a like too. And yes, next week we will catch you guys when we talk about The Predator, which should be a lot of fun. We're going to go for it, man. We really are. As we leave, Eric says, it's cool to compare Brody with his role in this and Summer of Sam. The man's really talented. He is. He really is a good actor. He truly is. So we will catch you guys next time. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Nightwatch. Peace out, guys.
Peace.
See you later.